fears rise with it, we may be able to mitigate that very easily.
Was there anyone else who lives around the area had questions? I know there were some folks that came here. Yes, ma'am.
Martha Maselko, 102 North Boulevard. Well, I would just like to say I appreciate your working on it. My frustration is that that simple fix, 1,000 or 2, hasn't been put in place yet. And I understand it has to go through the procedures, but it just seems like things take so long when they seem so simple. And I have collected signatures now, over 250 people who are, and that's from all 3 towns, who are saying we want something fixed here because we don't want to keep flooding. And the fact is we could have a storm, and to think that something isn't in place yet where the 3 towns don't know what really is going to happen. And I do believe the pumps that were put in for this storm that they thought would happen were not big enough. I'm not talking about Sandy. The other ones, they were very small, as Rich said, based on the size of the pumps. And I really hope that we get together and get the right pumps and get the right hoses to work. And it seems like it shouldn't take this long. It seems like it could be done quickly. I think that it should be done quickly, and I encourage you to get it done quickly.
I share your concern about it. All I can tell you is that I've been at this for a very long time in terms of being a public servant.
Yeah.
And what seems obvious on the outside is not so obvious on the inside. Putting together these things really takes time. It took us 3/4 of a year to finally either get the right people in the room to talk about ownership. And today we don't have an answer. But I share your concerns, and I think I can speak for Belmar and South. That's why we're here tonight.
What's other council organizations? Any members of the council have questions for Michael?
Is there any way to slow the water from coming into Lake Como from Wall Township and Spring Lake Heights?
That's an excellent point. None that I know of. However, if you look just west of Lake Como, up on Route 71 in Wall Township, and right there in the heights where the Spring Lake Heights post office is a small strip. You see that always floods. I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it countless times. My larger concern is that the county, that's county-owned road crossing, if the county were to try to mitigate that problem, it would have an adverse impact on the lake itself, because that water is being retained, and it would just make that hazard speak higher, spike higher. So I don't know the way to slow it down. The only way to slow it down is stop building. Stop building, and you could do some sort of stormwater retention, but that really needs to be a prior planning effort as opposed to a post-planning visit. But that's another council.
I was at your presentation before. You know, this is so bureaucracy. I mean, you gotta get three people on a pump, and if 2 want to do it and 1 doesn't, and they end up doing it, and then we didn't need it, the one's gonna say, I don't want to pay for it. And I don't understand. I mean, how many towns do you actually service?
We service 8 communities.
Okay, out of that community, let's say 3 of them are affected. You know, you can't hire 1 person, surcharge those 3 communities to be in charge of these lakes and say this is what we have to do and where, and just put it in charge of 1 person. I mean, 3 bureaucracies trying to work together with changing of offices and.
That could be done, but that's a decision for the stakeholders.
But you're the one doing the presentation. And you can bill us. I mean, what's the difference if I pay my taxes and then the taxes pay you, or I just pay you? I know it's not you. I'm just trying to bring up other ideas here. I mean,
That's we did a similar venture in an I-9 improvement program, but that's a decision for the governing bodies that's involved in that process, and not one of South Walmart. If the consequence goes, we certainly should.
I would have no problem with a surcharge just on the towns that are affected to take care of the problem with my bill. I'll say that.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your having us, and look forward to getting something done.
Next is going to be a presentation by Chefs International. These are the same folks who are currently operating Ninth Avenue Pier in Belmar. They've done it for over a year now. So we're looking to execute a much larger agreement with them that would incorporate the main building. This had always been in the plans, building an outdoor bar restaurant was significantly simpler than building a pretty big structure like this that's going to be a real positive addition to the town. So they'd like to come make a presentation about what to do. Take it, Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. John Jackson on behalf of Chefs International. As the council will well recall, approximately a year ago, a little more than a year ago, the council entered into a redevelopers agreement with Chefs International to allow us to operate the pier. We would respectfully submit, and also the golf course, the putt-putt. And we would submit that has worked out very well for both for Belmar and for Chefs. And now what we seek to do is seek approval from the council to authorize the mayor to enter into a redevelopment agreement, which would allow Chefs to develop the property at the marina and build a 19,000 square foot restaurant. The restaurant would be the third component of the redevelopment agreement as it relates to Chefs in Belmar. And we have a schematic there. Mr. Sonnefeld and Trokia have developed what we submit as a beautiful 19,000 square foot building. It consists of 2 floors. There will be a cocktail lounge on the 2nd floor. The 1st floor would be a restaurant that would have a theme and a configuration similar to the Chefs International restaurant in Tom's River at Water Street, which recently went under a substantial and very successful renovation. We hope that the council and the mayor look back and realize the reasons why it picked Chefs International for this development in the first place, a redevelopment, in that it's a company with a long-standing tradition of success. Chefs started out as Jack Bakers in the 50s in Point Pleasant Beach, and has evolved into a restaurant entity that has 10 restaurants throughout the state and in Florida. Every one of them has been very successful, and some of the abilities and the things that Chefs brings to the table. For example, if my memory serves me, it might have been March or April of last year when we made the agreement with the mayor and council to develop the pier, and it was open in July 19th, July 17th. And we submit that's quite an achievement. We were able to open it on a temporary basis. We made certain representations, we got the approvals, and we were able to deliver on those representations and develop what has become an extremely successful source of pride for Belmar. I would submit that when you come over the bridge or you come to the bridge and you look to the left or right, depending on what direction you're going in, it's a very nice thing for Belmar that many of Belmar residents have been able to enjoy, as well as visitors. Also, the golf course opened up in September of 2013, which was something the mayor insisted on, September 12th. 2012, I'm sorry. That was a very successful thing. The mayor insisted on having that amenity. We were able to do that. Small things, or perhaps big things. The pier took a big hit, as did everybody else, from Hurricane Sandy. But Chefs, with the cooperation of the council and the administration, Colleen, thank you very much, we were able to open up in April. We were one of the first resort-type businesses located on the waterfront to be able to get open back for business, which we submit showed the whole shore was moving in the right direction at that time. It was the right time, and I think the fact that Chefs was able to cooperate with the administration in Belmar and get this back on track is testimony to the wisdom and the foresight that the mayor and council had in choosing Chefs. The restaurant that we propose, we have schematics. I have our engineer and our architect here. If you have specific questions about it, we submit. It's relatively self-explanatory. It involves, we will have a marina office in one section of it. If you take a look at the, please.
Do you have handouts for the council?
Yes, I do, if I may approach. Thank you.
you take a look at the floor plan on the one building on the left, we will continue with the comfort station, the marina offices, photo office, and then a retail shop. We were very optimistic that we will be able to complete discussions and continue with the tackle shop there. We are going to have outdoor seating. You can see a deck overlooking the harbor, and that will also complement the pier that's there. That's basically an overview. We've worked very hard with Mr. Northridge's office and with Ms. Connolly to come to terms, and I think we're in a position now where we're ready to sign the agreement, and we're very hopeful that the mayor and council will do this. I know the mayor has worked very hard on the negotiations, and there are significant financial advantages to Belmar that the mayor has basically been able to get us to agree to, including approximately $26 million over the life of the lease that will be paid to Belmar as lease payments. Also, Chefs is going to build this building. We estimate, and this is an estimate at this time because it hasn't gone out to bid, we think it will cost in the range of $5 million, $6 million to build this building, which will then become Belmar's when our lease is over. And that's basically some of the highlights. So with that said, unless you have specific questions, I know we've put a lot of work into this. We're here to answer the questions. Like I said, we have our architect and our engineer here, Mr. Palis, and Mr. Trocchia, and Mr. Cooper is also here. Mr. Cooper basically started in Chefs in 1982 approximately as a bartender. He's a local person, and he is now the president of Chefs International. We think this is the right company, we think this is the right time, and we're very hopeful that you see it the same way. Thank you.
Question for Mr. Cooper.
Started working in '82.
Yes. What kind of restaurant is this? Are you envisioning on this location?
It's going to be multifaceted, open for lunch and dinner. It will be have a sports bar theme to it for all the time, especially in the wintertime. We'll have a sports bar feel. You're getting menus now. This is the menu that you're looking at is our menu at Water Street currently. It's a very accessible restaurant. I think you'll see it's a fairly priced menu, wide variety. It's a big restaurant, as is our Water Street. We offer, all the TV packages, NFL tickets, MLB, those sort of things. Live entertainment on a nightly basis in the summer, and then on weekends all year round. Pizzas, brick oven pizzas, things like that. Heavy seafood, steaks.
And then how would this complement the Ninth Avenue Pier that's there now? How would this flow together, I guess?
Well, it'll be operated by the same people, us naturally, and we'll have a much larger crew. But it'll be very complementary. It's similar. You'll see some similarities on the menu. Those that want to be inside or out, those that want to be out on the pier, they're going to have a similar experience. We hope that all the people that come to the pier in the summertime are going to become our year-round customers.
And Mr. Mayor, if you observe Chef's Point Pleasant Beach operation, where you have the lobster shanty, the wharf side, there is a banquet facility there where they host weddings, and then you have the outdoor pier, and it's actually three separate restaurants located adjacent to one another. And that synergy, that cross effort, the mutual employees, et cetera, that has been a very successful formula, and we hope to bring that here.
How many employees do you guys have now, just with Ninth Avenue Pier?
Just with the pier, at peak season, 70 to 80.
How many more do you think you have with this building?
We'll be adding 100 employees for this. Seasonally, and I hope to need 100 in the winter.
And one thing Chef's has prided itself on and has been the experience
they make every effort to hire local suppliers, local contractors, hire locals to be the employees. It's good for business and it's good for the community, and that is what we will be bringing forth with this also.
What is the time frame of the lease?
The time frame, 50 years.
26 million over 50 years.
Yes. That's for everything.
Broken up into pieces, correct?
The initial
Yes.
term is 24 years
24.
with options for additional 6 and then 2 10-year. So when you add all that up, you get to 50 years.
Say it again.
Initial term, 24 years. Then there are options to extend. First one for 6 years and then 2 10 years.
Thank you.
Right. And you guys understand that it's your responsibility to build the building, and it's your responsibility to maintain the building. But at the end of the term, the building is the property of the Borough of Belmar.
Yes, one other thing I know your administrator and your attorney on the redevelopment was insistent on is Belmar will be very involved in supervising the construction, improving the construction, not only on an inspection basis, but also as the landlord. They will have a great deal of control and supervision in that process, materials, building methods, et cetera, because the theme, the idea was when they get the building, they want it to be a very good one.
Is the footprint the same as the building that is presently there?
It's in approximately the same area. Mr. Pallas, if you can give that, we have an overlay. Mr. John Pallas is the engineer from Dynamic Engineering. If you could just show in the photographic overlay, I think he could describe it better than I could.
Certainly. The one on the left is the existing conditions. You can see the fisherman's den here. If you look, it's wrapped on the north, west, and south sides by sidewalk. Looking at the proposed conditions, those sidewalks on the north and the south ends almost match up. So it's essentially between, if you take those two sidewalks, we're building within that infill. This is all part of, there was a CAFRA permit that was filed in 2009, issued in 2010, for a building that's roughly twice the square footage as this building. So this is half of what was originally considered as part of that CAFRA permit. But we're within the confines of that permit, so it's compliant with the DEP standards.
What would be the time frame if, in fact, we proceed with this project in terms of getting things rolling and to its completion? Just rough estimate.
There are some very strict time limits in the contract. That is something that Colleen and Mr. Northgrave were very insistent on. That's built into the contract, and I believe it was,
We would hope to get started construction in January, and we would like to be open by November 2014.
That's an ambitious point.
Well, we don't know what's underneath the ground there, so we're hoping that we find that there's not a lot, too much relocating of utilities on that.
and that's, there are several issues that the lawyers have to work out. I know the mayor's a big fan of lawyers, but that's assuming we get going and we get everything straightened out. We want to go as quickly as possible, and we hope that our history is a good indication of what we will do in the future.
No question about that.
And the building is fully ADA compliant, correct?
Yes, that is absolutely. Mr. Trocchi, if you could address that.
I'm sorry, here's the question.
That will be fully
Yes,
ADA compliant.
absolutely.
Here's an idea. Take the golf course that was shoved down your guys' throat. I would put it on the roof of the building, right? And then we got a rooftop golf. It's existing land, use it as your employee parking lot, because parking is gonna be an issue. But, just a thought.
Well, I know Chefs is very pleased with the golf operation. That's a nice amenity for Belmar, and it's just, there's a wide group of individuals who like to use the marina area, and we think that's one more nice amenity. It's also a nice draw. It provides a nice synergy for having the restaurants, the pier, et cetera. It also gives you something to do with the kids.
With all the new parking, we have ample parking in the area of the Art Center, and there are many places to park. That will not be an issue.
We have done our very best. I would note the CAFRA permit, as Mr. Pallas indicated. The CAFRA permit gives an approval for a building of 36,800 square feet. We've reduced that to 19,000 square feet. And we've done some reconfiguration. We've worked very closely with the administrator.
some creative things. I don't know if this will come to pass, but the police department has been very cooperative. We're now exploring the possibility of having an electric golf cart type of ride system so that people can park over here at the municipal lot and we can shuttle people back and forth. That will require some regulatory approval, as you mentioned before, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to do creative things like that because we have as much of a need for parking as does everybody else in that marina.
We have had major improvements with parking and surfacing behind our police station into the Belmar Arts Council, which is pretty close.
Right.
And oftentimes I go by there and those parking spaces are available, so it's not a long walk. So I think the parking will be fine.
And we would know we get many customers now at the pier to come on bicycles and to walk.
Yes.
And also the marina. It's just a very nice, we come from a lot of places. And the parking is a sign of the success too also. So when it's crowded to park, in a lot of ways, that's what we want.
At our harbor commission, I sit on the harbor commission, and there were major concerns about all that was going on with the boat owners and our clients who rented our slips. And lately we've heard that they're very, very pleased with the improvements in parking and their ability to get in and out of the parking lots. So I think that'll continue.
That is one of the things that we promoted when we first approached, and no doubt was the vision of the mayor and council when they came up with the whole redevelopment concept, is there's a nice interrelationship and synergy. When one business is active and successful, the tide, which is maybe a bad analogy this days, but a rising tide lifts all the boats sometimes.
Your employees, would you encourage them to park away, like if you're an employee at the mall, you know, they have them park on the
Yes,
outside?
I'll have Mr. Cooper address that, but
That's a good idea.
well, certainly. What do you do operationally?
I have to admit, we haven't done a great job with that, but that is something that we're gonna have to do a better job with, and if we're able to do a shuttle service, that will help a lot.
And also maybe one, I don't like to see over signage, but a sign, even the borough could put additional parking.
Yes.
You know, what with arrows or, yes.
Yes.
Well, sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
I like
I have
the
no
name.
problem with this.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? If not, I'll get into the sort of nitty-gritty details of what this means financially for the residents. You know, this is in a redevelopment zone, and it's only possible because of the partnership we have with chefs and also with the state of New Jersey. I say that because Chefs International was granted a concessionaire liquor license for the pier that they operate now. If you've been to the pier, it's great. All you do is run to the Belmar, it's a lot of fun. That same liquor license is also going to extend to cover this building as well. That wouldn't happen if we did not have a good partnership with the state of New Jersey. That also wouldn't happen if the state of New Jersey did not think that Chefs International was a good operator. The liquor license is non-sellable and it's non-transferable. If by chance, I don't believe this happens, but if by chance something happens and Chefs International goes bankrupt years down the road, the building is completely the borough of Belmar, and we could always go release that out to someone else. They can't sell it to try to liquidate or anything like that. They can't use it as a way to get out of bankruptcy or something like that. It's the borough of Belmar. And they're gonna, they've agreed, and this negotiation's been going on a while. A long while. But some of the things they've agreed to is a substantial performance bond of $1 million, and also a one-time redeveloper's fee of $300,000 to be put into this year's budget. So that'll go into this year's surplus, rolls into 2014. When you look at the rent payment, the total rent payment for the marina, which will include all three properties, miniature golf, the pier, and then the main building, starts off at $235,000 a year, and it increases at 3% a year compounding for as long as the lease is in effect. Just to give you an idea, this is sort of the magic of compounding interest. Over the 24-year term, the first term, it would be $8 million over 50, it's 25. So it's a substantial increase as you get further out. For further generations of people living in Belmar, Chefs International, whoever's going to be occupying at that point, based on the schedule, we paying close to $1 million a year. Now, just going back to the $235,000 a year, that's a rental payment that they pay the borough of Belmar. For us to achieve that same type of financial gain, just to give you an idea of the, I think probably the largest property tax payer right now is maybe the Repetti property, and they pay probably about $48,000 a year. This blows that away. This is the type of payment, this is the type of revenue generated to a town that's similar to having a major corporation come in, a large mall, a major manufacturer that pays a significant amount in property taxes. That's what we're going to get in a rental payment every year, and we're able to do that, and at the same time, Chefs completely puts their capital at risk. If this is a success, good for them. If it's not, we get a $6 million building and we get to lease out to the next person. So for the town's perspective, we think this is an absolute home run. This is what we've been working for the last almost 2.5 years. This predates Colleen, and we did this through a hurricane as well. So we're really happy with the payment we're going to receive. Again, it starts at $235,000 a year, increases at 3% compounding for the term of the lease. And a partner like Chefs International, if you've been to the pier, Ninth Avenue Pier, one of the complaints I hear is a good complaint. It's one of the things that we talked to them about when they started. There are no discounted drinks. There are no shot specials. There's no, spin the wheel and get a cheap shot. You go there and you're paying for a glass of wine, you're paying for a beer, you're paying for some type of cocktail, and it's not cheap. This is not designed to be cheap. We do have other bars in town that have discounted prices for liquor. This is not designed for that. This is designed to be an upscale location for the residents of this community and the surrounding community in a location that is unbeatable. And where else do you get a western sunset in Monmouth County like this? So this is a really exciting project. The finances on this are going to make other towns jealous, and is something that not just this year but in future years helps the borough when it puts together its budget to keep property taxes in check. We've been able to do it for the last 3 years. We're looking forward to continue doing that, and these are the type of projects that we need for that to occur. So thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. If there's no other questions for the council, I'd like to let them go home to their respective families. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Our next topic, extremely exciting. Hold on. Recycling center hours.
Okay, so, just as a little anecdotal, I had a recurring meeting with all the directors in the borough, and we workshop ideas to improve public access and public services. And what came up a few days ago, and I'm going to ask Director Campbell to speak to this as well, is the fact that for some reason, unbeknownst to many of us who are fairly not new to the borough, but certainly haven't been here for as long as others, our recycling center is strangely closed on Wednesdays. And so we started talking about that, and that the recycling center is incredibly popular. I think it's a great value to the residents to be able to stop by if you're taking time off or working on your property and want to be able to drop off some things. And so Director Campbell made the recommendation that we go 7 days a week on the recycling center. And wanted to talk to you all about that, because you certainly have an opinion and maybe even history about why that might be the case. But we feel that we can do it within our current staffing. It would have a budgetary impact. But if that's something that you would like us to do in terms of extending the hours, Mike and I would work to find, it's approximately about $2,000 to do it for the balance of this year. We would work to find room in our budgets to do that and make our recycling center available 7 days a week.
The reason it was closed on Wednesday is because our employees collected the recycling, and the recycling was on Wednesday. So, they had to be somewhere, so they're out in the town picking up the recycling, and that's why it was closed on Wednesday. Our guys do it. But you're right, now that we have someone else on the outside doing it, there really isn't a reason to have it closed on Wednesday. And it seems like every Wednesday,
Honest God, Wednesday is the day when people want to go.
because I missed the guys going by picking it up, and I want,
Yeah.
don't laugh at me.
We've all done it. We've all done
Any
it.
other questions, comments, council on recycling on Wednesdays to make Brian McGovern's life a little easier?
Oh.
Mike Campbell, you think this is a good thing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments?
No, it's not as hard as anybody would think. We have people there
It
with
can happen.
twice a week.
Easily, right?
Not easy, but we'll get there.
Schedule-wise.
Is there a day that's slower than any other day?
We actually started over the past year that I've been there, taking inventory of how many people were there, and there actually is not, our most popular day, believe it or not, is Sunday. Even over Saturday, it just seems the volume's out, there in the morning. But again, we never considered a Wednesday. Mr. McGovern's 100% right, it was because we were picking it up, but it also has become, that's the day that we have the companies come in and fluids and all that and take away our scrap metal, so it was always just left that way. But again, we can work around that, it's not undoable, and again, if the residents wish it and the mayor wishes it, we'll certainly make it happen.
I say try it, if it drops below a certain number on that day,
Sure.
it's not much of, but it's definitely worth trying.
100%.
Question, when you put out a bulk item,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
bulk stickers,
Yes, ma'am.
will that bulk item be a recyclable item?
Depends on the item, ma'am. But again, for one of the bulk stickers that we used to sell is for electronics, things like that, TVs, which now cannot be put in front of your house anymore. We do have a recycling container from Monmouth County in our recycling center, so it's expected to be put there. Do we still pick them up for the people? Yes, we do, because they don't realize it. And as we pick them up, we try and tell the people you're not allowed to put out electronics anymore. The garbage companies are not allowed by the state of New Jersey to pick them up. So again, that's where it's come to. Also, our business administrator has asked me to get back the shredding for the fall and for early spring, so that people can bring the documents that they need to be shredded. I have contacted the county, and I'm waiting for a response to see when that can happen. They're certainly willing to come back, but I need a response as to a date that I'll give Ms. Conley the possible dates, and she'll either approve or disapprove at that point.
Can we not publicize that so much? Because, last time I went there, the line was around Dempsey Park, and I'm sure they weren't just Belmar people. I wonder if we can...
It has to be open because it's a county facility coming down,
Okay.
after the county. But as per your instruction after last time, you would be allowed first online.
Well, to show my consistency, besides showing up on Wednesday, I came last Monday. Labor Day, it was closed. So. Stop laughing, Joe.
All right, well, I think that tremendous decision's been made.
Thank you.
That's it for workshop. Anyone else have anything on workshop? No. Next, petitions. Any petitions for the mayor and council? Seeing none. Reports of mayor and council.
How about if I go first?
Go first this time?
Sure. I would just like to thank the Belmar Police and First Aid for their excellent handling for a medical emergency for my wife. It's the first time I've ever needed the first aid, and it was, I don't want to say great experience, but they were great. I don't know who the 911 operator was, but I want to thank him, Eric Lee, the police officer, Peter Orlando, George Kavitas, John Kennedy, and Sean Spence. They all showed up to my house, 100% professional. For those who want to know, Jane is scheduled for surgery next Wednesday in New York City, New York Presbyterian. All the news is good. The doctor believes she could possibly go back to teaching in about 2 to 3 months, which would be her 40th year at St. Rose. So. I have the beach report where we're past Labor Day. This year, we sold 13,958 season badges. We sold 5,927 senior badges, and we sold daily badges. We sold 285,602 daily badges. So we brought in this year $2,776,531.50, which is, I believe, about the 4th highest number of badges we have ever sold in Belmar. So we did have a good.
Council President Dyke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Great news for Belmar. Our walking participants have won the Boardwalk Challenge sponsored by the Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield Agency. With a number of other shore towns competing, Belmar outwalked or outstepped our competitors. The next best score was Asbury Park, and we outdid them by a mile. So I'm very, very pleased on behalf of the Belmar's Mayor's Wellness Campaign. This is a big plus for our town. It shows that people want to get out and walk and be fit, and it espouses all that the Mayor's Wellness Campaign stands for, so we're delighted. There will be a luncheon for our walkers who participated, sponsored by the Horizon Blue Cross team, Monday, September 9th at 1 p.m. in the Borough Gymnasium. This was quite a commitment for our walkers. We had to check in with the reps from the sponsoring agency. They read our pedometers and recorded the results every other week, beginning Memorial Day and ending Labor Day. Special thanks to Ray Claudio, our recreation director, for really coordinating this and for his assistance and the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. Plans are in full swing for our health fair set for September 22nd. There will be screenings available such as dental, glucose, and blood pressure. The Monmouth County Health Department will be on hand to administer flu shots, and a blood drive sponsored by the Belmar Women's Club will be part of the event. The mobile unit from the Central Jersey Blood Center will be parked in front of the Borough Complex on Main Street on the 22nd, the day of the health fair. At our August ADA meeting, we're continuing to plan for our musical program for young children with special needs. Musical instruments have been purchased, and we're seeking an individual with a background in special education to work with the children. I had hoped for a September opening, but it looks like we're going to have to go into October. But it's being well coordinated. Once again, I'm working with Ray Claudio, our recreation director, on the program. So it will be held, we decided, in the community room unless we have an overabundance of participants, and then we'll move it to the gym. Also, on October 24th, the ADA committee is hosting a program involving family issues and the disabled. Topics to be discussed include sibling relationships, guardianships, and estate planning. One of our residents had a question about our compliance with regard to handicap parking spaces along the boardwalk on Ocean Avenue. Mike O'Connell, an ADA committee member, investigated, and these were his findings. We have 394 parking spaces along the boardwalk and 23 spots designated as parking for the handicap. ADA standards require only 8 for that total number of spaces. So we are well in compliance along the boardwalk for ADA. And I want to say thank you to our police chief, Tom Palmisano, and also to our DPW chair, Mike Campbell, for seeing to that, because that's very, very important. We are still pursuing the need for a ramp at our train station for individuals with mobility issues. Assemblyman Sean Kane is working on behalf, as is Assemblyman David Reibel. Assemblyman Kane, I think this is the best plan that we could have, asked James Weinstein, Executive Director of New Jersey Transit, that funding be earmarked for our ramp in the New Jersey Transit budget for the upcoming fiscal year. We thank both of the Assemblymen for acting on Belmar's behalf. I don't know that that will happen, but we're hoping that our request would be honored and, you know, slowly get the project started. As I've said many times, there is no such ramp at a train station in this legislative district. So it would be most important that we have that in Belmar. Lastly, this isn't lastly, but I have more. I wish to thank all concerned for a great summer despite the weather and other obstacles. Lifeguards, beach staff, gate attendants, police and DPW. There we go. And everybody did a fantastic job ensuring a profitable summer with outstanding revenue. Think of what we overcame. Think of the storm. Think of the rebuilding of the boardwalk. Think of all that was involved to get our back on our feet for the summer. And look at the revenue. I mean, that was pretty bad. And with a bad June to boot. So, especially under all the circumstances of getting back on our feet. I attended a MOVE meeting this afternoon, Manasquan Organization of Volunteer Efforts. A very kind invitation was extended to me. I sit on the executive board so that Belmar, people who are still behind the 8 ball with Sandy, can get services such as furniture, there's case management, there's construction, there's a myriad of services involved with this organization. So they're really back on their feet. If you know of anyone who is still in need of services of these kinds, please contact me and I will put them in touch with a MOVE representative. So that's a long-term Sandy recovery group, and I'm very, very happy to sit on it. I wanted to also say, residents have come to me and are extremely happy with our police presence. Our police bicycle patrol are out roving throughout the neighborhoods on a regular basis, so I want to thank the chief and his staff for those bicycles. It gives people an opportunity, the police staff, to see things, you know, open air, not in a car, and, you know, riding slowly along certain neighborhoods. So I think that's a wonderful addition to our police staff, and that's what I have, Mr. Mayor. And I want to say, Brian, I'm so pleased things are going along as well.
Thank you very much.
Family.
You know, it's great to live in a small town like this because so many people come forward and you know, reached out to Jane and I. It's just wonderful. You know, you can't help it. Just really appreciate Belmar as much as I have in the last 2 weeks because such nice people. You know, thank you.
Council B?
Thank you, Mayor. Colleen, let's do FEMA. Any new word, anything back?
No additional authorization since the $9 million approval.
Okay, do we turn in all of our worksheets?
FEMA writes the worksheets since Vince wrote them. There's still, I believe, 4 or 5 that they're still writing.
What are they?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to take, certainly the pavilions are still being written.
No, so we did not turn the pavilions over to FEMA yet, or we have? I thought we did.
FEMA writes the worksheets, not us. So it's not a matter of me submitting something to FEMA.
Okay.
So they are still writing for the utilities, for Silver Lake, for Cleary, and the pavilions. I believe those are the outstanding.
What about the police, all the police vehicles we purchased? Where were they added in?
Those were submitted with the emergency protective measures, which was submitted back in November.
Okay,
We're also obviously pursuing your insurance for those. We've gotten some funds from insurance.
did we get that money from FEMA for the police
No,
vehicles?
not yet.
Are they going to give us money for the police
We
vehicles?
are working very hard to get them.
Do you know if they're gonna give us money for the vehicles or not?
We do not know.
You do not know, you did not hear any word whatsoever? Okay, because we put them on our bond, our 1.8 million bond already. If they're gonna be paid for by, for instance, on the bill pay list, there's a $43,000 charge for the vehicles. And it says hurricane fund. Is it too late to turn that into
Oh,
FEMA?
we have submitted all those costs, yes.
Even though we're just finding out the cost of it now, we already turned it in?
The bill's just moving along now, but certainly we knew we've had vehicles, we know what they would cost.
So you're saying on that FEMA worksheet that we turned in for the police vehicles, we have that
We have been submitting-
$43,000
We have been
already,
submitting all the vehicle expenses that we incurred.
and we put them on our bond, our 1.8 million bond, because just in case FEMA doesn't pay?
And just like with all of the costs, unfortunately with FEMA, we pay for it up front and make the reimbursement.
Okay, what about the police cars sitting down there by the, across from the skate park? What are we doing?
Oh, at Dempsey, we are working with the insurance company. They are the property of the insurance company at this point, and so they are salvage. The insurance, various insurance companies have been inundated with vehicles post Hurricane Sandy for getting those salvage yard. We're getting closer. I had some good news this week that they should be moving in the next couple of weeks.
How many do we get? Didn't someone tell me Port Authority?
Yeah, so we've been trying to connect Port Authority. Port Authority has a wish to acquire some of these total
They took,
vehicles.
Dr. Campbell, they took a total of 9? 8. All right.
That's Taylor Pavilion bids, the Taylor Pavilion bids. We voted to put out the bid last month. Are we, I didn't see the specs online or anything for the bid. Are they
Oh,
up there?
we're not out to bid yet, no. Within the next 2 weeks, we will be out.
Then we will definitely take this out to bid. Okay. Last thing, the boardwalk pavilion, the boardwalk trailers that we paid for, that came out of our $20 million bond, all the boardwalk trailers.
The rentals.
The rentals. Did they all pay rent already? Did they pass their rent because the season's over?
Most of them, I have to look at the ledger to see if anybody still has a payment to make, but as far as I know.
Everybody paid? Okay. That money, does that go back to the bond, or does that go into our general fund?
You know, I'll get you a more detailed answer. I'll be honest that the structure of some of the bonds in terms of what would be financed for long-term debt, I'm not sure where those trailers were attributed. If you remember, we moved several funding mechanisms several months ago. Some were short-term financing, some were long-term financing. So I'll get you the exact answer about where they're being financed.
Well, all those trailers that came out of the $20 million each bond, the boardwalk bond that was for $20 million.
I'm gonna have to check. I don't want to miss the answer.
Okay, but if they do, and we get our rent from the trailers, does it go back into that bond? Should it? Or do you think it should?
Our tack that how we practice is that any money that we get in helps us to pay down, either not bond for money or pay down what we've already bonded for. So yes, it goes against the bond.
Okay.
Remember, the bond was we just did a 1 year, did a short-term note, we're paying 60 basis points on it. So that'll be holding to a longer, either 20 year or 15 year.
Is that the 20 million?
So what we try to do is, so as we get the FEMA money back in, it'll reduce what the principal is. So what you want to do is you want to knock the principal down as low as possible before you go out for the longer-term debt. If you do that, then you keep your payments low. If you don't do that, it doesn't change your payments, you shorten the term of the loan. But in reality, if you look at interest rates, you want to borrow as little as possible now, and have the original principal as low as possible, as opposed to having it higher and then paying it 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, paying out the principal. It works out better if you pay more of it now. So
last question on the buy board campaign. I have my courageous, congratulations, Max. You are now part of Belmar history. A plaque will be displayed at the entrance of the 16th Avenue Beach during the summer of 2013, honoring your participation in Belmar's Buy a Board campaign and assisting in the rebuilding of the Belmar Boardwalk. Now, this is Max's used $100 of his Christmas money to get this. And, this has never happened.
It will be happening, and it's been a challenging project that's getting very close to being realized.
Can you tell me
Sure.
what's caught? I mean, because we just had an article in the paper, it's gonna be up before the end of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, we got $700,000 worth
Yeah.
of plaques or something.
Construction of the plaques will commence on Monday, and that will start at 10th Avenue, and it will go very quickly after that. So it has been just a challenge with our summer season, getting them up, and something that I'm very comfortable taking full responsibility for, them coming online now.
Are these permanent plaques, or are they just gonna be up temporarily?
No, they are up there as long as nature allows them to be there.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Hey, Councilwoman Nicolay, or their fancy computer?
Yes, and I apologize, but the printer was not working, so I've got a couple notes on different things. Just want to start with the Belmar Arts Council. They started a new show called Painter's Work. It started on Saturday, and they had over 75 people attend the opening. They had about 30 people on Sunday, so it's a great start. Please make the time to go by. It's over on River Road here, Belmar Arts Council, called Boatworks. It's 608 River Road. The train mural project, if you're not familiar with it, when the train pulls into the station in Belmar, on the right-hand side is a 90-foot wall, a building. We are taking designs, a mural, to paint that entire wall. We received about 8 or 9. They've been reviewed. They were placed out during the Painter's Work show, and we've got a lot of feedback on them, so it's exciting, and I'm hoping by the end of this week that we choose the winning design. If you'd like to see them, they are at the Arts Council. Belmar Recreation basketball registration is Wednesday, October 2nd in the gym from 6 to 7:30. It's $40 per child. The